Welcome here today, everyone. My name is Jordan Savage, and I'm going to talk to you guys about AngelBox Co. Now, AngelBox Co. Well, let's do some background on what I want to do for the first part. So, the issue I chose to address is homelessness in Canada and trying to feed the homeless in Canada. Now, there's many ways to approach this problem, and the way I decided to approach was using food banks, because it's an already structured system that exists. So, currently, food banks are underfunded in Canada, and it's not just a Canadian problem, it's a worldwide problem. I decided that I decided to do this project based on a story from my childhood, which was when I was in Cubs, I joined, we were going to help a food bank this one day with, it was a Halloween sort of celebration. You package these little chocolates in a bag, and you bring them to the front, and you drop them off, and someone would come and take them for their child. However, when I wrapped my bag and I brought it to the front, I put it down and I saw that there was a kid standing there who was about my age, within a year. And it was the first time I really realized that this kind of thing can affect people that are my age. Homelessness can affect people who could be in my situation if the tables were turned. So what I really wanted to bring to charity is the business mindset. I wanted to bring some innovation to this field because I've found that over the years, it's started to get a little bit slow-paced. People still donate money, but it's not, in my eyes, the most efficient method. So I decided to start up a social entrepreneurship venture, which is what AngelBox is. So my plan is that I develop a social entrepreneurship venture in which I'm selling subscription boxes to families or even single people. And it is first and foremost charitable. So all of the profits from the box are donated to, in a monthly sum, to a food bank. This food bank is the Waterloo Food Bank. So this is how it looks. On the outside, the box would look like this, with my logo in the center and some stamps basically that resemble an old briefcase kind of travel stamp. On the inside, you'd be able to cook all of these different dishes. So what would happen is it would be delivered, similar to the box that Mr. McGinnis has in front of him. It would be delivered and it would have ingredients to make any meal. It would be an internationally themed sort of takeout meal, so it could be an Indian curry or samosas or South African babudi or anything really. The one that's in this box is spaghetti, or not spaghetti, pasta of some sort. Yeah. And so yeah, you can see that you'd be able to make many things like this. So I had to do some general research. The first thing I decided to research was the market of subscription boxes and sort of who are my competitors right now and what do they do and is it really viable for me to be existing in this space. And I found that Try the World Foods is a great exemplar for one of my competitors. They're probably my biggest competitor. They're a subscription box company that'll deliver snack foods that are internationally themed. So they're prepackaged snacks of your favorite home country. So it's not quite the same where I'm delivering a meal, they're delivering snack foods, but it's in the same ballpark. And I just investigated some charities like the Salvation Army and Food Banks Canada that are trying to help food banks and try to nurture food banks in Canada. I also had to investigate demographics and do some research on the market that I'm trying to address, which is I'm going to be starting this up in Waterloo because I'll be attending the University of Waterloo next year. And so I figured that it'd be important to know how many people there are in Waterloo, what their ages are, and the gender ratios, etc. So here's some of my research. This is the trend on Google Analytics for the number of times that someone searches subscription box in Google over the past, since 2007. You'll see that the United Kingdom and the United States are the first two, so they're the ones who search it the most often. And then you'll see that Canada is actually in third place, which is still, it's not the best, but it's pretty good. So we have a pretty sizable market for this in Canada, or sizable interest at least. And you can also see that it's been going up over time. And currently it's in the middle of what should be something that will continue to go up as the years increase. So the logistics of how it all works. Obviously, there's a lot of logistics in packaging and delivering and storing all of this stuff. And basically what I've decided is I'd outsource that to a third-party logistics company. This company would be either Rome Logistics or McKenna Logistics. The reasons for this being is that McKenna Logistics, while operating in Toronto mostly, does service Waterloo. However, Rome Logistics operates in Waterloo, so that's their home base. The clear benefit there would go to Rome. However, McKenna Logistics has a certain personal link with myself with Ben McKenna, who's a previous Appleby alum, who I could hopefully get in contact with and see if we could figure something out, especially for this. For the boxes themselves, I'd be using Packlane or Eco Enclose, and I'd basically be ordering the boxes that you have in front of yourselves, which are ear flap boxes, because they're the most aesthetic and you can close and open them as you wish. I'd be using BMO Banking in order to sort of cover my finances, because they have a startup sort of section, like an entire section of their bank is dedicated towards startups and startup accounts to try to help nurture Canadian startups. Unfortunately, when it comes to ordering food, you have to approach a wholesaler for a company to be viable, because most of the time it'll just be too expensive if you don't. In this situation, I unfortunately cannot approach wholesalers because I don't have a business license. And a business license is what you need to apply for the membership with the wholesaler. As many of you might know, you need a membership at Costco. Now, a business license I normally would go out and get, however, it costs $5,000. And I unfortunately don't have $5,000. So, yeah. So my alternative plan is to go to Costco and be using Costco as my sort of intermediary wholesaler until I can get enough money to apply for business license. And for the more specialized foods that I'd be needing for international spices and things like that, I'd go to local grocers like the British Grocer, Florence Meat Markets, the Holland Grocer, etc. Here's some demographic data on Waterloo. Well, not Waterloo, all of Canada. So you can see that this is the number of people who were helped by a food bank in the month of March over the past number of years. And you'll see that the total assisted in March in 2016 was 863,000 people. The total people assisted in March of 2008 was 675,000 people. So you can see it's been increasing at a ridiculous pace. People have becoming, while homelessness is not currently increasing at a wild rate in Canada, it is still increasing steadily. So this is clearly a problem that needs to continue to be addressed, especially if the food banks do not have enough money to buy the food that they need and buy the necessary supplies. So what I've learned. The market is growing, and it's getting more popular for people to be ordering subscription boxes, especially in introverted cultures where you don't really feel like going out for dinner, or you don't have time to go out for dinner because your culture is just so busy, or your workday's been so busy. My 5-year plan. So this first entire year that up until today has been establishing a full plan of action, which is what you're seeing now. Well, it's half of what you're seeing now. There's actually a 46-page Word document that goes along with this presentation that is much more detailed. However, it basically allows me to have a roadmap for my future and for how the company should be progressing through the years, so I can see if we're on track for where we were supposed to be. Year 2, I'll be doing some fundraising. So my money that I hopefully will be getting will be coming from Velocity Fund at Waterloo, which is a fund that gives grants to student startups for about $5,000, and I'll be needing a business plan to apply for it. So I'll write a business plan during, as I approach Waterloo or during the summer, and I'll apply for it in first year. And another source of income will be using Kickstarter. I'll post something on Kickstarter, and hopefully I can get some awareness out of Kickstarter, as well as some crowd-funded money. Anything that I don't fill in with those two, I'll be getting the money from an angel investor or a venture capitalist, depending on how much money I need. In year 3, I'll be getting marketing and sales. So I already have my website up and running. It is ready to go the second that I have enough money to launch the e-commerce section of it, and I'll take you guys on a tour of it later. In year 3, I'll be bringing that online. I'll also start selling the actual product to people in Waterloo, and then hopefully branch off to Toronto and other areas around us. And by the end of year 4, I hopefully will have broken even after 2 years of sales, and that'll allow me to start giving the profits to the food banks. In year 5, I'll be working on future goals and expanding to other areas of Canada, or just expanding past the borders of Canada into America, or other countries that may need our help as well. So here's the branding of AngelBox. You can see our logo here that will be featured on the boxes, as well as it's on my website. And our slogan is Live, Give, Eat. And you can see that we have a snippet from our first advertisement that you'll see later, as well as some brand images that we would like to associate the brand with. So here I'll take you guys on a tour of the website. So this is the open landing page where you land and you see that it's very modern, sleek design that I was going for, because most of my competitors, especially, are fairly modern designs as well. I wanted it to be open so people felt invited to the page. And then I found a nice little catchphrase for AngelBox, which is, what is AngelBox? It is a way to give and get simultaneously. So here we'll watch the advertisement video. And I'll explain some bits on the way as well. So these are the ingredients that would actually be coming in this box for spaghetti bolognese, I believe, or penne bolognese maybe. Yeah. So now you'll see a recipe card, and this card will come in every box, and it'll basically take you through how exactly to make your meal. And you'll see that we also have a secondary assist for that on the website right at the end. So, oops. Next, we'll take you to the AngelBox Classic page, where you'll see that we have the normal option, and then we'll take you to the shop so you can see the other two options. Here you can see we have the veggie box and the no nut box as well. Inside of the veggie box, it is a vegetarian version of the classic box, and the no nut box has no nuts in it. Each box, you can see the prices will be $80 to $770, and I'll show you why that is in a minute with the actual calculus that is involved in it. This seems like a really broad spectrum. This is because it goes from the offerings of 1 month subscriptions, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. Each month you'll be getting 1 box per week, and 1 box can feed 2 people. Yeah. You can also order a different number of boxes per week, so you could order 2 boxes per week or 3 boxes per week, or just cost more. Here's the founder's story. So it takes you through a quick story of what exactly the reason that I founded AngelBox that I told you guys about earlier. And then there's a graphic about how it works on our side versus your side. Basically, on our side, or on your side, you'll get you'll order your box, it'll arrive to your door, and you get a great meal. On our side, you'll order the box, we'll take the money, and we'll use a certain portion of it for costs, covering the cost of delivery and the product itself, and then use the rest for profits that are accumulated each month and given to a food bank, the Waterloo Food Bank. Here's the Contact Myself page, where this actually runs and functions properly right now. You can email myself about any questions you have about the page. And here's what I was talking about with the recipe card assist. So you can actually come on this section of the website, and each week there'll be a different meal in your box, obviously. And so you may not know how to establish how to exactly make that meal if you're not great at cooking or you don't understand the recipe. You can watch a YouTube video here that explains exactly how you do it and takes you through step by step. This is a spaghetti bolognese recipe made by a really, really funny Italian chef. And I believe that what will end up happening is that I'll be able to approach YouTubers and I'll ask if I can use them on my website. And they'll more than likely be more than happy, because my website attracts exactly the kind of people who would be following these YouTubers be ready to be subscribing to these YouTubers and liking their videos, and that's exactly what they want. Also, hopefully it could increase their popularity. He makes jokes throughout this entire video, and I just think it'll make the entire cooking experience much more engaging. Here you can see a number of different dishes that are offered that you could potentially get in your box. We'll just take you through them all. I'm kind of hungry now. Okay, so here's the calculus thing that I was talking about. This is our costs and revenue function. I modeled this after Try the World Foods because they're our closest competitors, I mentioned before. And basically, what this describes is the price function here. So the number of boxes you order versus the price that each box will cost. And this is our revenue function. At a certain revenue, this one right here at the top, you'll be earning the most revenue you could possibly be earning without losing costs because your prices become too low on this function. So some numbers, for example. It is technically $40 for one box if you were to order one box, but you can't because my smallest subscription length is 1 month, which would give you 4 boxes, one box per week. So in a pack of 4, it costs $34 per box. Now, if you were to order for an entire year, which would be 48 boxes, it's $24 per box. So the box will cost less as you go through the ordering more of them at the same time. Then the cost to make a box is $20, so you're still making revenue at the cost of ordering a year. The obvious downside to having someone order from my perspective for a year is that I'd be getting less profit per box. However, you'd be having a more steady income, as you would know you would have income for the next 12 months. Whereas in the 1 month box, you get more income, but you don't know if you're going to have that person return as a customer for the next month. Here's some challenges for what I've been facing. Building the website in the first place. The website had to look professional and it had to be ready to go as the second that I needed to be at the snap of my fingers. So that took about 3 months, which was a lot of time out of a heavy schedule, so that was quite challenging in itself. Also, communicating with willing food banks. So the first food bank that I communicated with actually said that no, they don't want anything to do with me because they're all volunteers, and so they didn't have the time to deal with helping me. The second food bank I tried to contact just never replied to me. So that's when I made a crucial realization, which is that I don't really need the food bank's permission to be donating money to them, because I don't need their permission to donate money to them. And so I also figured that when I get to Waterloo, I can approach the Food Bank of Waterloo in person, and hopefully that'll allow me to get a meeting and we can talk about exactly what they think about how I could optimize the entire process. The third problem was finding wholesalers, as I mentioned before, because you need the business license. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you for your presentation, Jordan, and yes, we will ask you some questions. So, panel.
Sure, well, I can start. First, I just want to say that was wonderful. I loved the business side of it. Clearly, you're into business and economics and all the rest of it. So I love that. I love how innovative your ideas were and how they connected with so many things that are already existing, and that you took that into account. I'm curious to hear a little bit more about the actual cause, like a bit more about your story, a little bit more about homelessness and the need to support this cause.
Right. So homelessness has had its place in my heart for a very long time. This project originally was designed and more geared towards trying to help people in disaster zones who had just lost their homes. And then I realized that that was a little bit too far of a step, too big of a leap, so I decided that I'd start here at home, and I'd start with the people who don't have homes in our general location. And that's when I started thinking back to my days in the Scouts and the Cubs, where I was working with the food banks and volunteering at them and seeing people in my situation who were suffering and just not being really able to help them as much as I would have liked to be able to help them.
Great, thank you.
Jordan, you briefly talked about the logistics involved in the boxes, but what's sort of your long-term plan for actually getting the boxes printed and made, and have you kind of looked into those sort of details?
Yes, so Eco Enclose and Packlane will both provide printing services and the service to actually provide the box. The box would then be shipped to myself as like these flat templates of a box, basically, that you would fold in a certain order to get it to look like that ear flap box there. I, for the beginning sections, would be folding the boxes myself and then having all of the supplies packed myself as well, and then delivering them to Rome Logistics, etc., because I wouldn't have that many orders to deal with. However, in the future, I would be either hiring people to help me with that or outsourcing it to a packing company.
That was going to be my next question.
You're heading off for this great adventure at Waterloo, which is, I think, such a great match for you and entrepreneurial spirit in a town that is filled with a lot of great entrepreneurial minds. It's going to be obviously a big change. What's your thinking in terms of how you balance this and the launch of something that could, the startup portion of your business is hugely intensive and tends to be a one-person driven, while balancing all of the academic piece and university life and all of that?
Yeah.
Have you given thought to how you can kind of stay committed to that?
I have. Waterloo is going to be a really tough place to be in. It's a very heavy duty schedule. It starts at 8:30 in the morning and ends at like 4:30 in the afternoon, I believe. My plan is that I will be in co-ops. So what will happen is 4 months of the time I'll be in school and I'll be working hard. The next 4 months I'll be on my co-op, and that's essentially my vacation, because we don't really have summer anymore. So my vacation will be the time after work where I have no homework to do, and I can do work on this project, and I can also be ready to basically assemble everything that I need to be doing. So the business plan most likely will be made during either the summer or my first co-op, and then after that I'll be applying for the grant for those next 4 months, and hopefully I get that grant, and I'll also be putting it on Kickstarter during that first co-op. And when I come back, I'll be able to run some stuff just in my free time on the weekends and things like that. When I'm in Waterloo on the ground, so it'll kind of have two aspects. When I'm in Waterloo on the ground, I'll be doing less like actual thinking work, and more like I'll know what I'm doing and I'll go and I'll do it, and I'll do the planning sections on my co-op after work.
Great.
Jordan, as you're describing that, I think you should keep in mind sort of opportunities for innovation within that co-op program. I would highly recommend not trying to spend every co-op term this way, but at least petitioning in some way to see if you can spend at least a co-op term where this is actually your co-op term. You've certainly got a good business case already. It demonstrates how you, as an innovative engineering student at Waterloo, operating in the e-commerce space of the social entrepreneurship enterprise, I think there's a lot of upside for that for yourself and for the university. It would really give you an opportunity to hone your skills and also get some of your processes in place.
Yeah.
One of the things I've really enjoyed this year with you, Jordan, is seeing how you've really drawn on cross-curricularly from your other classes into your global action plan, the business plan side of it, the mathematical modeling that you showed us there. It's terrific to see you bring those pieces together. If we had a bunch of senior ones in the room here, what would you be telling them about how best to spend their next year in the Global Leadership Program to make sure that they have a global action plan that fits them currently and for the future?
Right. So my first piece of advice would be don't spend an intense period as you get into the beginning of your first week of GLD sort of thinking that you're going to find out exactly what you want to do for the next year. You should rather spend the entire summer just kind of have it at the back of your mind, mull over it a little bit. Every once in a while you'll come past an experience that'll sort of make you think, oh, we should have that happen here, or like, why is this not a thing? And maybe you can accumulate those in a set of notes and write those down, and just make sure that when you come to GLD on the first day, you can run through them and be like, oh, I have 6 ideas for something that'd be great, or 10 ideas for something that would be great for me to do, and you can work through and see which one would be the most viable, which ones do you think are the most important, etc. And then I think another thing is that if you were to come into GLD and have no idea what you were doing, that's still okay. All you have to do is you have to make sure that you sort of do a little bit of research online, look inwards to yourself to see what you're passionate about and what you think is the most important thing right now for the world, and just chase after it. Because if you're not passionate about it, then there's no way that you're going to do it for the next 5 years of your life. Absolutely not. You'll give up either halfway through the year, or by the end of the year, you'll be totally done with the project.
Thank you, Jordan.
All right.
Any final questions? No, I think we'll leave it at that. Jordan, thank you very much for
Cool.
your presentation.
All right.